In her memoir, How to Be a Woman, 2011, British journalist and music critic Moran reflects on her journey from girlhood to womanhood, sharing anecdotes from her life between her teenage and early adult years. She delves into her personal views on feminism and what it means to be a woman. Caitlin opens with a story from her childhood when, at 13, she faced bullying from neighborhood boys for her androgynous appearance and style. Although the experience is hurtful, she quickly rebounds and celebrates her birthday. She notes that no one in her family prepared her for the changes that came with puberty or taught her how to navigate womanhood. Her mother avoids discussing menstruation, which results in Caitlin's first period lasting for 3 months. Along with this, Caitlin experiences the awakening of her sex drive, which she explores through borrowing provocative books from the library. She prefers this method of learning about sex over the instant access modern teenagers have to explicit content online. Caitlin criticizes mainstream pornography, arguing it is predominantly made for male pleasure and expresses a desire for more material created by and for women. As Caitlin moves through her teenage years, she faces the challenges of growing up without much guidance from her mother, learning on her own how to dress and navigate relationships with men. She shares a close bond with her older sister, Kaz, as they bond over their changing bodies and the awkwardness of finding proper terms for female anatomy. At 16, Caitlin starts working at Melody Maker, a music magazine, where she is the youngest employee, surrounded by older male colleagues. While they support her career, Caitlin becomes aware of the sexism she faces for the first time. While living in London, she seeks to explore her sexuality, but her flirtations are soon the subject of gossip in the office. She also struggles with her weight and discusses the shame surrounding eating disorders, comparing their societal treatment to that of drug addiction. Caitlin advocates for more open conversations about food and body image in order to reduce the stigma around these issues. As Caitlin enters the workforce, she finds that sexism is pervasive and subtle, even when it's unintentional. She receives similar accounts of sexism from her friends and followers on Twitter. Though Melody Maker strives to showcase more female artists, Caitlin acknowledges that the quality of work by women is lacking in the industry. She becomes increasingly aware that women do not have equal opportunities or recognition compared to men. Caitlin and her gay friend Charlie share frustration over the portrayal of female and LGBTQ+ figures in the media, often written by straight men. Caitlin also begins dating Courtney, a musician, as she continues to explore her identity and experiences. Caitlin is deeply in love with Courtney, despite his constant criticism and lack of commitment to their relationship. His band is stagnant, largely due to his laziness and sense of entitlement. When Caitlin discovers that Courtney is using their relationship to further his career, she decides to break up with him. However, Courtney refuses to leave, continuing to live in her house rent-free. Her sister Kaz visits and confronts him about his behavior, which initially embarrasses Caitlin. But when Courtney is rude to her again, Caitlin finally forces him to move out. After the breakup, Caitlin begins dating Pete, a coworker, and eventually marries him. Their wedding leads Caitlin to reevaluate her views on weddings. She believes that women often do themselves a disservice by placing unrealistic expectations on their weddings. Spending excessive amounts of money on one event seems wasteful to Caitlin, and she argues that portraying weddings as the pinnacle of a woman's life diminishes women's broader ambitions. Soon after marrying, Caitlin gives birth to her first child. Growing up with a mother who had 8 children and struggled with health complications from the births, Caitlin is anxious. She meticulously plans her birth, but when the time comes, the delivery is difficult, lasting 3 days before she finally gives birth to a daughter. Caitlin reflects that the painful experience taught her to stop trying to control every detail and not to sweat the small stuff. After having a second daughter, Caitlin learns she is pregnant with a third child. Though she has always wanted a son, she and Pete decide they are not ready for another child, and Caitlin chooses to have an abortion. She believes that there should be no stigma around abortion, and after the procedure, she feels a sense of relief without any guilt or regret. At 35, Caitlin reflects on the changes in her body and the ways she has aged. She briefly considers plastic surgery, but ultimately decides against it. Contemplating whether she has finally figured out how to be a woman, Caitlin concludes that she is content with her experience of womanhood. She refuses to focus on her flaws or adopt a self-deprecating attitude, embracing the person she has become. I hope you enjoyed this video. Leave a like if you did, and be sure to subscribe. Thank you.